So sport touring can encompass a wide range of activities. We did a shootout a few months ago. We had the 1300 plus cc bikes. And what we couldn't get away from was that how big and heavy they become. And we figured there's got to be a better way to sport tour. So we've taken a middleweight queue, got bikes here between 800 and 990 cc's. And we've got a lot lighter weight, a lot more sporty bikes to do a tour on. So new for 2013 is BMW's F800GT. It's taken the old F800 ST and made it a little more of a grand touring bike. Over to my right is Ducati's Hyperstrada, not the Hypermotard. It's a Hypermotard, but with some touring accoutrements that'll let you go do some touring, some soft bags and a little windshield. And kind of an odd outlier here is KTM's SMT. It's a 990V twin, so it actually stands above these other bikes in terms of displacement. But it doesn't have quite all the luxury touring amenities the BMW has, and it also has the soft cases. Tom, you were on the sport touring trip, and now we got quite a different class of bikes here. What's your early impressions?
You know, really the KTM and the Ducati are quite comparable. We've got, you know, like you said, soft luggage, a little bit longer travel suspension. Not quite as grandfatherly as the BMW here. I think we're going to find that bike to be the most comfortable over the long haul. But they're all still closely measured. I mean, we're only about 20 pounds apart between the lightest and the heaviest. They're all within the $13,000 to $14,000 price range. And, you know, besides that, it's going to be some of the, you know, specifics that a consumer might be looking at. You see, between like, ooh, what do I like more? I mean, do you want to be, you know, more hooligan and go with the Ducati, or a little bit more touring and go with the BMW, or possibly the KTM might fall in the center of these three? We'll find out after we get done with the rest of our ride today.
And Scott, you've had a little bit of miles on these things. What do you think we're going to find out here in this kind of sport touring category?
Well, I think we're all going to find out what kind of riders we are, and that's going to help us determine what bike is actually best suits us. I have put a lot of time on the KTM 990 SMT, and I've ridden several variants of the BMW, but this Ducati Hyperstrada is going to be all new for me today, so I'm looking forward to that.
All right, well, let's saddle up and go for a ride.
Well, as the crow flies, Ojai is not very far removed from our digs in Los Angeles Basin, but man, we managed to stuff a hell of a lot of miles into our ride today. Taken in conjunction with the days we've had these bikes previous, you know, we've put a lot of time into each one of these bikes, and we found out the significance of each model. You know, like we said kind of earlier in our video, we were looking forward to these bikes because they are lighter. We've got some, you know, the light side of the sport touring market here. BMW leaning more towards the touring. These guys may be leaning a little bit more towards the sport, but I think we were surprised a little bit about the performance of the BMW today, Kevin.
BMW's got a really nice package here. In the corners, it actually performs quite well. We kind of thought it would be lagging behind these other ones, but it does really well. The motor, nobody, I think, chose it as our favorite, but it does the job quite well, and the chassis works really well in the corners. I think it even steers lighter than the KTM, so it's a good sport touring package the way it comes, and it's the only one with lockable hard shell bags as an option, of course, as BMW likes to do things, but it's a good setup sport tour for sure.
Yeah, it's a tough call, but the KTM delivers a more touring-oriented, or it's a little bit mellower in its delivery of power and the way that it does things. The Ducati the Hyperstrada is all sport, and you really get that sense when you're out there riding it. fast, quick revving engine, high revving, just quick handling, really sport-tuned suspension. The KTM maybe not quite as much, a little bit leans more toward the middle, a little bit back toward the BMW, but both fantastic on the sport-oriented side of the touring equation.
So to fit the sport touring mold, you need to have luggage. You got to pack up to go somewhere. KTM's bags, they're the smallest of the bunch, and they're not lockable. They're only zipped, and you don't want to leave your valuables in there too long, because if somebody wants to take them, they just have to release the lever. So you'll probably want to take this into the restaurant when you're leaving your camera and other valuables in here. So the Ducati's bags, they're soft shell like the KTM's, but they're much wider, so you can pack in a lot more stuff. And also a benefit, they're lockable. You got a key, and when you release it, you got the bags that you can take away, and yet nobody can take the bags off the bike when it's parked. Tray and lockable. So it's the largest bags of the group, and hard shell. It's going to be waterproof, and you can lock it, and you can still release it if you want to. Bring them up to the room after your ride.
Yeah, price level specifically. I mean, the KTM here at 14 is about the most expensive bike, or is the most expensive bike out of the three. And Kevin, you and I were talking, and we sort of came up with the ideas like you really don't need to go with the top of the line package on this bike. You could leave the ESA and the ASC out of the picture, go with the more standard package, get your heated grips, get your the luggage mounts, and then throw the bags on there for approximately $800, and that puts it just a tick over 13, so about 1,000 less than this and about equal to the Ducati.
And what really surprised me is the Ducati's a brand new bike, so I guess it's going to be expensive, but at $13,295, it's only $700 cheaper than the KTM, and the KTM has a lot more motor, and it feels a little more relaxed when you're doing the touring thing, when you're not just unwinding a twisty road. So the Hyperstrada, I think, is a better city bike. It feels much lighter than the KTM. The pound difference isn't too great, but it feels much lighter. But $700 difference, well, I'm a motor guy, so I'd pick the KTM.
Well, I think kind of there you have it. I mean, if you're going to go over to your girlfriend's for the weekend, the Ducati is the way to go. You know, the KTM's a good, all weekend sport touring rig, but if you're actually going to put some distance on and use a sport touring for what is defined as, the BMW is going to be your bike. We'll provide some more details on, why the BMW fits the definition better than the other two. Go to the website, Motorcycle.com, read the story, and we'll let you know.